Okay, this is going to be my first Creepypasta reading, and I will be reading Max and Ruby 004. Shall we begin? It was just this Christmas that went by, and things were getting busy. I had to start buying presents for the family. I had finished shopping, but I still needed to grab a present for my little cousin. She's not very hard to shop for since she is 4. She likes things like Peppa Pig and My Little Pony. She really liked, and I say liked for a reason, Max and Ruby. So when I decided to go shopping for a present, I figured something like a Max and Ruby DVD would have been perfect. Since she liked to watch it on a daily basis, however, Christmas meant that most of the online DVDs were sold out on most places. I went to look on eBay as well, but I figured I could not trust what condition the DVDs would have been in. So I was stuck in a rut for a while until that package arrived. I was at home still scrolling for a stupid DVD until I heard the sound of something being pushed into my left. But I had not seen one like it online. It was like some little kid had drawn on the front of the cover with a marker. The title was just Max and Ruby, with what looked like a poorly drawn illustration of Max and Ruby on the front. There were no names or anything, but on the back it had a list of 4 episodes, all with blunt titles. 1. Episode 0001. 2. Episode 0. The thing I thought was odd was the episode selection screen. The episodes had names, but they were all called Max and Ruby 1, with the numbers being changed as it went down the list. The actual selection screen was just a plain white screen with black text with the episode list and nothing else. After giving it much thought, I decided to change the cover to something a little nicer by printing out a DVD cover that I had found on Google and tracked down the names of the episodes so they were labeled right. I left the episode list screen alone because I figured it was self-explanatory. Christmas went by and things were fine. I gave my little cousin her DVD and she was happy with it all through Christmas. But that was only because she hadn't watched it yet. On Boxing Day, the family had gone out for a meal and left me to babysit my cousin. I was not too bothered about being left at home. I figured now was a good time to put on the DVD for her. I had put the DVD in and let it play. While I was in the kitchen eating my dinner, from what I could hear, she had watched episodes 1 to 3 so far. I was just about to finish off my noodles when I heard my cousin screaming from the other room. Dropping everything, I had ran into the living room and saw my cousin curled up on the floor screaming. I had looked up at the TV and I felt my heart in my throat. What I caught a glimpse of was the most disturbing thing I had ever seen. It was what appeared to be a in the mix of it all. It had to be one of the most disturbing things I had ever seen. And it must have been on screen for at least 20 seconds before the screen went to black and the DVD turned off. Which alone was weird because DVDs do not usually turn off by themselves. I was able to calm my cousin down, telling her it was not real, and she had just had a nightmare as she had fallen asleep in front of the DVD. However, I knew in my mind it was completely real. My parents had rung me. Deep chill down my back. Since my cousin was not asleep, I kept the sound on low and proceeded with the episode. Normally, an episode of Max and Ruby would have 3 stories, but this episode had simply 1. It started off quite lighthearted. Max and Ruby were playing tag in the garden, and their parents were on the porch watching them play. However, something was off. The sound was playing in reverse, and the parents' faces were of sadness. It panned to the mother and father. In a voice of deep sorrow, the father spoke. At this point, there was also no sound, apart from faint static. The scene remained on screen for about a minute and a half before it cut away into black. It then changed scenes again, now showing Max and Ruby sitting in Ruby's room. Both of them were sobbing. The sobs were so realistic and heart-wrenching that it seemed like it was taken from a real person mourning. What happened next was the most disgusting, yet saddest thing I've ever witnessed. The scene had changed to Max sitting in his room. He was standing on a chair with a noose hanging from the ceiling. He had brought it around his neck. The scene had faded to black, and the static got louder, almost instantly. It then cut to Ruby walking in on her brother. She let out a gut-twisting scream. The camera was panned on her face, as the sound of the chair being kicked and the same choking from before began to play. The picture of Ruby's face stayed on screen for a good 5 minutes. This time, her eyes had returned as the same gaping holes, and as before, there were no other facial features. The static slowly grew louder and drowned out the sound of her cries. The scene cut to black, and with a loud static, when the screen returned, Ruby was sitting on her own in the garden. Please. It stayed on this for a few seconds before the DVD finally popped out of my laptop. I sat there trying to contemplate what had happened in shock and fear. I made the stupid decision to break the DVD up as much as I could before leaving the house. I shoved the pieces down the drain. Thankfully, I kept a few screenshots and saved them to my laptop. The next couple of days went past without anything unusual happening. I had a few nightmares about the DVD.